All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning, I'm Sunil Verma and with me is Sarabjit Kaur. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India is ready to supply food stock to the world if WTO agrees. Home Minister Amit Shah says government will soon bring a new and improved cooperative policy. Centre asks states to carry out safety audit of ropeways. UGC allows students to pursue 2 degrees at the same time. Calcutta High Court orders CBI probe into rape and death of a teenager in Nadia district of West Bengal. 16 injured in New York subway shooting. Police looking for suspect in gas mask and construction vest. Russian President Vladimir Putin says talks with Ukraine have reached a dead end. Odisha government to launch hockey clubs in schools in all districts of the state. The Netherlands lift 4th FIH Junior Women's Hockey World Cup title, beating Germany 3-1. And in IPL cricket, Chennai Super Kings beat Royal Challengers Bangalore by 23 runs in Mumbai. As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events is being organized by the government as a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. To commemorate the occasion as a Jan Utsav, All India Radio News brings its listeners a special quiz on India's freedom movement and its glorious history. Recalling our yesterday's question, name the freedom fighter who changed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights from all men are created equal to all human beings are created equal. The correct answer is Hansa Mehta, a freedom fighter, an educator, a writer, a social activist and a social reformer. She played a crucial role during the campaign against Simon Commission and went to jail twice. She later became a member of the Constituent Assembly and president of All India Women's Conference. AIR News got an overwhelming response from its listeners from across the world. And the one lucky winner of the quiz is Koka Venkateshwar Rao from Safilguda in Sikandrabad, Telangana.
I am very thankful to All India Radio for choosing me for this award. I am working in Indian Railways at Sikandrabad on South Central Railway. I am an avid listener of All India Radio from my childhood. All the programs are very informative and enhance the knowledge of listeners. Thank you very much once again. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
The next question of Amrit Mahotsav quiz will be shared with listeners on Monday, the 18th of April. Celebrate 75 years of India's independence by participating in Amrit Mahotsav quiz with AIR News. And now, the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that India is ready to supply food grains to the world if WTO agrees. Mr. Modi said during his talks with US President Joe Biden, he offered to provide food grains for supply to other countries if WTO rules are relaxed to permit such a move. The Prime Minister said food stock in different parts of the world is dwindling due to war in Ukraine. Mr. Modi said this while inaugurating the hostel and education complex of Shri Annapurna Dham Trust in Adalaj in Gujarat yesterday through video conferencing. The Prime Minister said that by the grace of Ma Annapurna, Indian farmers are already taking care of the world in the matter of food grains. Mr. Modi noted that in the country's culture, food, health and education were always given great importance, and today Shri Annapurna Dham has expanded these elements.
हमारी परंपरा में भोजन, आरोग्य और शिक्षा पर हमेशा से बहुत बल दिया गया है. आपने इन्हीं तत्वों का मां अन्नपूर्णा धाम में विस्तार किया है. ये जो नई सुविधाएं विकसित हुई हैं या जो आरोग्य धाम यहां बनने जा रहा है, इससे गुजरात के सामान्य मानवी को बहुत अधिक लाभ होगा.
Minister of Cooperation Amit Shah has stressed the need for a new cooperative policy in the country. He said the centre will come up with a new policy in the next 8 to 9 months, which will address the issue of primary agricultural credit society to Apex Cooperative Federation. Addressing the National Conference on Cooperation Policy in New Delhi, he emphasized the need for transparency in cooperative sector to increase trust of small farmers into it. He also called for professionalism and modernization of the sector, saying that the cooperative sector has to be strengthened for economic empowerment of the country. The minister said there is a need to build infrastructure to ensure loans for cooperative bodies. He reiterated government's commitment towards cooperatives, saying the Narendra Modi government has created a new Ministry of Cooperation with an aim to strengthen the cooperative movement in the country.
सालों से सहकारिता से जुड़े हुए क्षेत्र के सभी लोगों की एक मांग थी कि भारत सरकार सहकारिता के सिद्धांत को मान्यता दे, प्रमुखता से इसके काम को गति देने के लिए एक अलग मंत्रालय का निर्माण करे। कोई न कोई कारणों से ये चीजें टलती जाती थी। अंततोगत्वा 6 जुलाई 2021 को देश के प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने निर्णय लिया और भारत में पहली बार भारत सरकार ने सहकारिता मंत्रालय की स्थापना की।
Union Home Ministry has issued an advisory in the wake of a ropeway accident that happened in Deoghar district of Jharkhand. The ministry has stressed on the need to have a detailed standard operating procedure and a contingency plan on ropeway operations to prevent occurrence of any such incident in the future. In a letter written to Chief Secretaries of all states, Union Home Secretary Ajay Bhalla said, operation and maintenance of ropeway projects needs to be scrupulously adhered to. He said the state government must engage an experienced and qualified firm for carrying out safety audits of each ropeway project. He further said a maintenance manual must be prepared for each ropeway project. In addition to the maintenance manual, there should be a maintenance program so that the safety standards conform to good industry practices. In Jharkhand, the rescue operations of tourists who were stranded in cable cars following accident at Trikut mountain in Deoghar district have been completed. The accident occurred due to the breaking of the sap of the ropeway operated on the mountain. Deputy Commissioner of Deoghar, Manjunath Bhajantri, has thanked the troops of Cockerel Division from Brahmastra Corps, Indian Air Force, ITBP, NDRF, local administration and the local people for 45-hour-long successful rescue operations. The IAF Me-17 and Me-17V5 helicopters were deployed in the rescue mission. All passengers have been airlifted from the trolleys. Among them, 12 people have been severely injured in the accident and are being treated at Deoghar Sadar Hospital. 3 persons were killed during the rescue mission.
University Grants Commission is going to allow students to pursue 2 full-time degree programs simultaneously. This was announced by UGC Chairman Professor M. Jagdish Kumar in a virtual meeting with media yesterday. He said students can pursue 2 academic programs simultaneously in a physical mode, either from the same university or different universities. Professor Kumar said students can also pursue 2 academic programs in online mode simultaneously. He said this will empower the students to acquire new knowledge and provide them flexibility. Professor Jagdish Kumar said several components of the national education policy have been implemented across the country and UGC is trying to provide flexibility under the national education policy. The UGC chairman said guidelines in this regard will come into effect soon. We spoke to educationist Sant Chaudhary about the decision.
Now, any student can continue with 2 courses at the same time. This will be very, very useful and very, very helpful for their career because they will have much more opportunities to make their career. So, UGC has granted this permission. It's a wonderful decision taken by the UGC.
The Housing and Urban Affairs Ministry launched Swanidhi Se Samriddhi program in additional 126 cities across 14 states and union territories yesterday. With the expansion of the scheme, 28 lakh street vendors and their families will be benefited. The ministry said Swanidhi Se Samriddhi, an additional program of PM Swanidhi, was launched in January this year in 125 cities in phase 1, covering approximately 35 lakh street vendors and their families. Considering the success of Phase 1, the Housing and Urban Affairs Ministry has launched the program in additional cities with a total target of 20 lakh scheme sanctions for this fiscal year.
Union Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya M. Scindia said that the northeast regions have been on high priority for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He said that his department is all set to deploy additional 107 commercial aircrafts in the country within this year, out of which about 25 are earmarked for the northeastern states, including Arunachal Pradesh. Launching the operation of first Dornier 228 aircraft at Pasigat Airport in Arunachal Pradesh yesterday, Mr. Scindia said that the central government is planning to boost the air connectivity of the northeastern region, connecting the region with commercial fixed-wing flight services with the mainland of the country as well as other parts of the globe. Government of India and the Asian Development Bank has signed a $2 million project readiness financing loan for designing climate-resilient urban infrastructure, strengthening institutional capacity and improving municipal resource mobilization in 16 district headquarter towns in Nagaland. The facility would support key preparatory activities for the ensuing project aimed at improving urban infrastructure and services in Nagaland to help the state realize its economic potential. He said that government is committed for development of the northeast region.
The Health and Family Welfare Minister, Dr. Mansukh Mandavia, said India is the first country in the world to administer the first dose of COVID vaccines to 97% of the people above the age of 18 years. He said 85% of the people have already taken the second dose. Briefing media in the BJP headquarters yesterday, Dr. Mandavia said over 5 crore 77 lakh people in the age group of 15 to 18 years have been given the first dose and 3 crore 98 lakh people have been administered the second dose. Appreciating the country's COVID management and vaccination drive, he said the world witnessed the mention of India's COVID management and vaccination drive in the Vaccine Global Alliance meeting in Geneva. He said the world was amazed to see that 2.5 crore vaccine doses were administered in a day in the country, which is not a small deal. The Calcutta High Court has ordered a CBI probe into the Khali gang rape and death of a teenager in Nadia district of West Bengal. The court said in order to have fair investigation in the matter and to instill confidence in the family members of the victim and also in the residents of the locality and the state, the investigation should be carried out by CBI instead of the local police. A division bench of Justice Prakash Srivastav and Justice Rajshri Bhardwaj asked the CBI to submit a report on the progress of investigation on May the 2nd, the next date of hearing. The concerned authorities were also directed to extend full protection to the family members of the victim and witnesses of the case. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee on Monday had cast doubts about the details of the gang rape of the 14-year-old girl. Her remarks attracted sharp censure from opposition parties, which called them insensitive and unfortunate.
You're listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India is ready to supply food stock to the world if WTO agrees. Home Minister Amit Shah says government will soon bring a new and improved cooperative policy. Centre asks states to carry out safety audit of ropeways. UGC allows students to pursue 2 degrees at the same time. Calcutta High Court orders CBI probe into rape and death of a teenager in Nadia district of West Bengal. 16 injured in New York subway shooting. Police looking for suspect in gas mask and construction west. Russian President Vladimir Putin says talks with Ukraine have reached a dead end. Odisha government to launch hockey clubs in schools in all districts of the state. The Netherlands lift 4th FIA Junior Women's Hockey World Cup title, beating Germany 3-1. And in IPL cricket, Chennai Super Kings beat Royal Challengers Bangalore by 23 runs in Mumbai. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर
8700014242।
कंपटीशन की अगर आप कर रहे हैं तैयारी तो उनके लिए ऑल इंडिया रेडियो पर हम लाए हैं अभ्यास, एक ऐसा कार्यक्रम जिसमें आप पूछेंगे सवाल व्हाट्सएप नंबर 9289094044 पर या फिर ईमेल करेंगे abhyas.airnews@gmail.com पर और हमारे विशेषज्ञ देंगे इसका जवाब। अगले अंक का विषय है ज्योग्राफी यानी कि भूगोल और हमारे एक्सपर्ट हैं प्रोफेसर अमृता बजाज। सवाल भेजने की अंतिम तारीख है 13 अप्रैल। आपका अभ्यास हमारा प्रयास।
In the US, at least 16 people have been injured in a shootout at a subway station in Brooklyn, New York. Authorities said a gunman, wearing a gas mask, set off a smoke bomb and opened fire in a subway car. Officials are appealing for information about the gunman who fled the scene and is still at large. 10 of those injured suffered gunshot wounds, while others suffered from smoke inhalation and shrapnel wounds. New York Police Department said this incident is not being investigated as an act of terrorism, but authorities have not ruled anything out. New York City Police Commissioner Keechant Sewell said there are no life-threatening injuries. She asked for New Yorkers to share any photos or videos of the incident with law enforcement as the suspect is still at large. Sewell described the suspect as a black male, 5'5" tall, with a heavy build, wearing a green construction-type vest with a hooded grey sweatshirt. Russian President Vladimir Putin has said that peace talks with Ukraine have reached a dead end. Speaking alongside his Belarusian counterpart Alexander Lukashenko at a news conference, President Putin vowed that he will not stop military operations in Ukraine until Moscow succeeds. He added that until an agreement is reached, the military operation will continue until the full completion of tasks. The Russian president dismissed as fake reports of hundreds of dead bodies of civilians in the town of Bucha outside Kiev. Ukraine has accused Russia for the massacre in Bucha. However, Russia has denied the allegations and said that it was Ukrainian propaganda.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has held a meeting with Commerce Secretary of United States of America, Gina Raimondo. In a tweet, Dr. Jaishankar said, "Our goal is to enhance resilience and reliability of supply chains and enhance trust and transparency in business." Secretary Raimondo expressed interest in continued engagement with the Indian government as the United States moves towards the launch of the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. Earlier, Dr. Jaishankar met with Ambassador of United States Trade Representative Catherine Tai. During the meeting, issues of bilateral trades were discussed. And now let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव। Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
On the 13th of April 1919, one of the most brutal episodes of Indian freedom struggle, the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, took place. The incident marked a turning point in India's struggle for independence.
The Rowlatt Act was passed on 10th of March 1919. Authorizing the government to imprison or confine without a trial any person associated with nationalistic activities. This led to nationwide unrest. This act was termed as Black Act by nationalist leaders. Mahatma Gandhi initiated Satyagraha to protest against the Rowlatt Act and published an article called Satyagrahi on 7th of April 1919, describing ways to oppose the Rowlatt Act.
The British government issued orders to prohibit Gandhiji from entering Punjab and to arrest him if he disobeyed the orders. Dr. Saifuddin Kijlu and Dr. Satyapal, the two prominent leaders who were a symbol of Hindu-Muslim unity, organized a peaceful protest against the Rowlatt Act in Amritsar. when the two leaders were arrested on April the 9th, 1919, the people marched to the Deputy Commissioner's residence the next day to demand their release. They were fired upon by the police and many people were injured. The Lieutenant Governor of Punjab, Michael O'Dwyer, directed the officers to suppress all opposition.
13th of April 1919. On the day of Baisakhi, people had gathered at Jallianwala Bagh to celebrate Baisakhi, in spite of the orders prohibiting any assembly. At the meeting, two resolutions were to be discussed. One, condemning the firing on April the 10th, and the other requesting the authorities to release their leaders.
And that is why the Mahatma begs us to take the course of non-violence.
When the news reached the police, the tyrant Brigadier General Reginald Dyer headed to the Bagh with his troops. He entered the Bagh, deployed his troops, and ordered them to open fire without giving any warning.
Should we issue a warning, sir? They've had their warning. No meetings.
People rushed to the exits, but Dyer directed his soldiers to fire at the exit. The indiscriminate firing continued for 10 to 15 minutes, and it ceased only after the ammunition had run out. Over 1,650 rounds were fired.
The total estimated figure of the dead as given by General Dyer was 291. However, other reports, including that of a committee headed by Madan Mohan Malviya, put the figure of dead at over 500.
As the news of the massacre spread across the nation, Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore renounced his knighthood.
General Dyer's actions on the day of the massacre received a prompt acknowledgement from the Lieutenant Governor of Punjab, Michael O'Dwyer, who at once wired to him,
"Your action is correct. Lieutenant Governor approves."
Both the British officers, Reginald Dyer and Michael O'Dwyer, faced violent criticism. On 14th of October 1919, the Disorders Inquiry Committee, also known as the Hunter Commission, was formed to inquire about the massacre. The commission only censured Dyer for his actions and asked him to resign from his appointment as brigade commander.
But the fire of revenge was alive in Indian revolutionaries. The barbaric Brigadier General Reginald Dyer died in 1927 due to a stroke. But the then Lieutenant Governor of Punjab, Michael O'Dwyer, had to face the wrath when 21 years after the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, Michael O'Dwyer was shot by the revolutionary freedom fighter Udham Singh on the 13th of March 1940 in London.
Mr. Dwyer!
After independence, a memorial was set up by the Government of India in 1951 at Jallianwala Bagh to commemorate the spirit of Indian revolutionaries and the people who lost their lives in the brutal massacre. It stands as a symbol of struggle and sacrifice and continues to instill patriotism amongst the youth. In March 2019, the Yad-e-Jallian Museum was inaugurated, showing the account of the massacre.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
Odisha government will launch hockey clubs in schools in all districts of the state. Chairperson of Hockey Promotion Council of Odisha, Dilip Tirki, said the initiative is aimed at promoting hockey culture from the school level. He said Odisha government is taking all possible steps for the promotion of sports, especially hockey, and this initiative is a step towards development and grooming of grassroots talents in hockey.
The Netherlands lifted their fourth FIA Junior Women's Hockey World Cup title after beating Germany 3-1 in the final at Potchefstroom, South Africa yesterday evening, giving an early lead to the Netherlands. Danik van der Weerdonk scored first goal in 7 minutes. Then Germany's Sophia Schwab equalized the score in the 32nd minute. Just after 2 minutes, Tessa Betsma restored her Dutch team's lead to 2-1. In IPL cricket, Chennai Super Kings beat Royal Challengers Bangalore by 23 runs at the D.Y. Patil Sports Academy in Navi Mumbai last night. Today, Mumbai Indians will take on Punjab Kings at the Maharashtra Cricket Association Stadium in Pune at 7:30 p.m.
And now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. Srinagar, Jammu and Leh will have a generally cloudy sky. Gilgit will have a generally cloudy sky with the possibility of rain or thunderstorm. Muzaffarabad is likely to have partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature was 18 and the maximum is expected to be 34 degrees Celsius. The national capital Delhi will have partly cloudy sky. Mumbai will have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon. Chennai is likely to have partly cloudy sky, but Kolkata will have mainly clear sky.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Rush hour shooting in New York City subway, 16 injured, leads the Times of India. Hindustan Times carries a photograph of emergency personnel at work at the Brooklyn subway station, where a gunman opened indiscriminate fire with the caption, 10 shot, several others hurt in New York subway attack. India-US call for end to hostilities in Ukraine, writes the Statesman. Shehbaz tells PM, Pak too desires peace with India, headlines the Asian Age. Ensure your soil not used for terror, US warns Pakistan, is the top headline in the Pioneer. UGC has approved simultaneous dual degree courses for Indian students, reports the Tribune. Country likely to get normal monsoon rain this year, reports the Hindustan Times, quoting SkyMet Weather, a private weather forecasting company. Sri Lanka announces $51 billion debt default to combat crisis, reports the Hindu. And finally, the Pioneer reports that soon there would be a new tourist spot in Leh, India's first donkey park.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India is ready to supply food stock to the world if WTO agrees. Home Minister Amit Shah says government will soon bring a new and improved cooperative policy. Centre asks states to carry out safety audit of ropeways. UGC allows students to pursue 2 degrees at the same time. Calcutta High Court orders CBI probe into rape and death of a teenager in Nadia district of West Bengal. 16 injured in New York subway shooting. Police looking for suspect in gas mask and construction vest. Russian President Vladimir Putin says talks with Ukraine have reached a dead end. Odisha government to launch hockey clubs and schools in all districts of the state. The Netherlands lift 4th FIA Junior Women's Hockey World Cup title, beating Germany 3-1. And in IPL cricket, Chennai Super Kings beat Royal Challengers Bangalore by 23 runs in Mumbai. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.